Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bosun Bankole and this is Random Talks with Bosun. On this channel, I talk about career related issues, job search strategies, and all the fun stuff between finding a job and having a great work life. If those are the kind of contents you're interested in, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. If it's your first time here, wow, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you love and engage with this content. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for keeping me going. I mean, you've been here all the time, encourages me and nudges me to keep going on. So thank you for being back again. Today, I will be discussing HR jobs in Canada, and I am privileged to have two amazing HR professionals. I mean, these guys are super smart people. They moved into Canada like me, right? And then they've been able to settle into, top-notch HR jobs. So they will be sharing those strategies with us today, and you don't want to miss any part of this. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you, Imole and Bolaji, for being here with me today. Guys, these are some very, very hot, important people in my life in terms of my professional space and just having them as close friends as well. I mean, these are brilliant minds in the HR space. They have all the certifications in the world. I mean, they've practiced internationally and, they are great positions here in Canada as well. So I am highly privileged to have you both join me to have this conversation today. So thank you so much. Let's kick it off with introductions. I don't know who wants, maybe ladies first. Balaji, do you want to start first? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how long you've been in Canada for, and then we'll take it on from there.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Bosu. I'm glad I got the invite at last. It's awesome to be here. So my name is Bolaji Shiwoku, but on my LinkedIn profile is Kemi. That's, well, usually when they ask me, my name is Bolaji, but my English name is Kemi, so it's Kemi Shiwoku as well. I've been in Canada since 2017. I've always been in HR. In Canada, I've worked in the health sector, in logistics, and I'm currently working with an e-commerce company as a business partner.
Amazing. That's short and sweet. Thank you. And of course, okay, we'll talk about you being here finally. Okay, Imole, do you want to go?
Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Bosso, for having me on this. It is a privilege. I do not take it for granted. So, my name is Imole. Imole Ayo Ashogbo. I can pronounce it given the tones and everything here, right? But people call me Imole, and that's fine. Like Bolaji, I've been in Canada 2017, right? Yeah. And also like Bolaji, I've been in HR for years before then. Over 12 years now, I'm practicing HR. And yeah, I live in Vancouver. I currently work with a manufacturing company as the guy supporting this province when it comes to HR related matters. And I love HR. I'm passionate about HR, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Amazing. Thank you both. And I'm just scrolling to find my notes. Forgive me for that. Well, the first question I have is around, and I think everyone is curious about that as well. I mean, people who had practiced HR internationally and are moving into Canada, the first thing that comes to mind for everyone is, how do you find a professional job in HR? So tell us about your journey. Like, how did you land your first HR role in Canada? Like, how long did it take? What were the things you did? Just those sweet spots, gimmicks that keyed it in for you in terms of landing your professional job.
I think we're still doing ladies first.
Yes.
Okay.
no competition.
Thanks, Bosun. It's always difficult to sum that journey up in a few words, but I'll try. And I think one thing that we usually don't appreciate a lot is the mental energy it requires to land a job in this country as an immigrant, whatever space you're in. So I've always practiced as a generalist. I was HR manager back home for a logistics company as well. And coming into Canada, I just wasn't getting anything. It wasn't just, nothing was coming up, applying. And I have a couple of certifications. I mean, the GPHR and SPHR and all of that. It wasn't working. And so I decided, okay, while I'm waiting for it to show up, I was going to take some certifications. And I think we'll get there, but I decided to take some of the HR certifications here. And in retrospect, I think that was the game changer for me, because being in a generalist field, there's need not just for the fundamentals of HR, but for the context of it. And the context is different per geography, per space. So I found out that I was super limited by not understanding the laws and the full Canadian context of practicing HR. And so that changed it for me. From the time I got that certification, I got more callbacks. I got more people asking me. And it just seemed like all my 15 years prior didn't matter much, or my MBA didn't matter much. But again, I'm sure Imole would have his own side of the story, but I also feel like it usually depends on the line of HR you're in, on your specialization. So for me, the certification was a miracle. It did wonders. And it opened more doors. And from there, I started getting my first job. And I always tell people, it's always the first one that is the problem. Once you get the first one, moving in and out will be super easy. Yeah.
Amazing. I think we can all relate to the mental energy that's required to land your first professional job in Canada. And I mean, it's something we should continue to talk about, so people are kind of prepared for that amount of work that it requires. And, you know, it helps people to understand it's normal. Like, you're not alone if you're trying to land your first one. It's pretty normal. We've all been there, but eventually you will get it. You know, it's something we should always continue to put out for people. Well, Imole, over to you.
Mine is not also far from that narrative, right? And I always tell people, like, getting a job, getting your professional job in Canada is a job on its own. So you really need to take it seriously. While I've in recent terms had the opportunity to mentor a few people or work with a few people who their narrative was different. They got it pretty early, maybe because of time and chance, or the economy picking up and, you know, HR space getting that, you know, but, you know, mine was such that it took me about 6 months to get my first HR job, right? And I applied. I say it every time. I mean, for my Indeed, just on Indeed alone, I had 606 applications because I munched it. Just Indeed alone. I'm not saying the direct application. I'm not saying, you know, just Indeed alone. So, but one thing I found that changed the narrative a bit for me, wasn't the certification for my first job. It was really, I started volunteering, right? I'd been applying for jobs. I will have a couple of interviews. I won't get a call back. But a month after I started volunteering, what I put in there, I was a volunteer somewhere downtown Calgary and was helping out in recruitment and stuff. That kind of changed the narrative. I saw more callbacks and I saw more engagement. And of course I got the job within 1 month, right? So that's the height of my own transition into HR. And really, it's just getting your foot into the door and then pursuing other things we'll probably talk about in this session that changes the game for you, right? But that was my experience. Another critical factor that helped my experience was networking, right? So I found that, you know, it's a big deal here. Either you like it or yes. Referrals, networking is super big deal. So someone referred me to that opportunity. You know, they saw me. They referred me to the volunteering opportunity, you know, and the volunteering opportunity unlocked the door. So that's in a nutshell was my own experience, you know.
Those are very, very valid points. I mean, very valid points. Like, of course, there's the time to invest, but of course, you have to network, and you don't just sit and continue to apply. There are things you can do in the process, and one of those things is volunteering, because it all contributes to the Canadian experience you're looking for, right? And you need that experience for when you get your first job, actually. So that is totally spot on. Another question I have, which I want you both to chime into as well, but Imola, if you want to take the lead on it, that'd be great. And that question is about what do you think is different in terms of HR practices in your international experience and now practicing in Canada? Would you say it's the same? Like, that's one thing people are initially afraid of, like how much difference do they envisage? What are the unique callouts that they should look out for in terms of their international experience and practice in HR in Canada?
Fantastic. Thank you for that question. That's a very important question. For me, I'll sum it up in three things: context, culture, and legislation, right? Those are the three things that I think is different. Fundamentally, HR is the same everywhere. How to hire, how to fire, right? How to,
maybe a little bit more.
A little bit more, but it's almost the same everywhere, But in the Canadian, what I found here, the one big deal when it comes to technical part that I find that is different here is the legislation, the employment standards. They are different, right? You really must understand it. It's so well knitted, so well guided, such that one little error in how you interviewed that candidate or what you said in that meeting to that manager, that person can put the organization to a big problem, right? So you understanding the employment standards, you understanding what the law says about this, you understanding how to navigate that part is very critical because nothing is left to assumption here. And everyone can be held accountable for every aspect of the practice. So I find that it's a very key factor. You must understand that the employment standards, you must understand legislation about everything. It's different.
Absolutely.
And culture, which is almost the biggest thing of all, is the fact that the way we do things back home is different. I have a good friend who reached out to me yesterday. I said, Molly, I want to start all over again with my team because it seemed that they're getting me wrong. And I had a coaching conversation and I'm being misinterpreted and all of that. And we had a 1 hour long talk where when she finished speaking to me, I realized that really is different, right? The cultural nuances here, one is different. So my first year, my colleague said, Imole, we know you, we've built good relationships. She said, we know you and we know that you don't mean to be rude or anything, but your voice is loud. And yes, when you talk like that on the phone, people might think you are shouting at them, or you understand. That's different from back home, right? And someone told me when I saw that you were speaking in loud, you were writing in capital letter, were you yelling at me? That is no big deal where we're coming from, right? But so the it's different. The culture is different. How people perceive, how people communicate. In Canada, they are not confrontational, right? We back home, if I don't like you, you probably will know from my expression. But here, everybody will smile at you and be cautious. So that's a different. I find that different. And context here, everything is contextual. There's case laws for everything. You have to look at what the common law have said. I work in a unionized, right? You have to look at all those things. But you'll be amazed how some little factor will change the game here just because of that context and that scenario. So I find that those are the fundamental things that we must unlearn and learn to be successful as HR professionals here.
Wow, that is so well rounded. I totally can relate to that, especially the cultural part. I mean, of course, we know culture is complex in terms of how something very simple in our HR brains could become so complex when it comes to practice, and how just shifting things from here and there touches on a lot of nerves when it comes to change and all that. So of course, I think that's spot on. But one thing I wanted to also call out is, of course, we have to always think about global practices, right? It's beyond the culture, it's always global practice, and that trumps your international experience or your experience even within Canada. But that was so well rounded. Thank you so much, Imole. Bola, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, I could not just agree more. Actually, the first thing Imole said was what I had written down on my piece of paper that I was going to say when the question comes up. But I just want to say that in all those three, context, legislation, you can learn it. You can learn it outside of the workplace. But at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the culture is huge and you cannot learn it outside of the workplace. You have to be in it to learn it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I always try to encourage people that are coming in, take on as long as you can, take on any job that puts you in a working environment. Just go there, see how they relate, see how they talk, because a lot of the clan we are coming from, a lot of things are already innate in us. I will share with you. So my first job was in a credit collection agency, my first job in Canada. And we call people and say, well, you're owing, you need to call us back, blah, blah, blah. So when I call people, I realized they were not calling back. I wasn't meeting my targets. And then the guy that was training me gave me the feedback and said, you talk too fast. They can't hear you. So they don't get your name, they don't get the number, so they don't call back. And in the wildest of my dreams, I would have thought, how could that be? Then I started to extend it. Perhaps I was talking too fast in my interviews. They couldn't hear me. And like Imola said, very polite. They're not going to tell you to repeat yourself. They're not going to tell you to speak slowly. So I was missing out. So I said all of that to say, you can learn the legislature, you can learn the context outside, but when you come into this country, it's important to get into where you can start to learn the culture before you get that job you're
Wow. Well, I had no doubt about your wealth of experience and knowledge. So thank you both. That was amazing. I mean, it's so well. I wish I heard all these things when, I know you feel the same. Like, we all have to come and experience it. Like, we didn't have this opportunity to actually learn from people how to, maybe our journey would have been faster if we knew all these things, but, we had to come in and learn all over to get what it takes, to get our way into the doors and to get our first opportunities. But this is very helpful. Thank you so much. Bolaji, maybe you want to help us take the lead on this. And because of your initial comments around certification, and you also shared that it played the role, but really that's some question that people ask all the time. Like, I got my first HR opportunity before I got a certification, right? So for me, it didn't really play a lot of role, but maybe it's because of the line of work I got into, and not maybe, but I'm just curious, like, what do you think the role of certification is in landing your first opportunity, and what are some of the common certifications people should look out for?
Awesome. That's it. That's a good question. And I think it's one everybody always asks. I think the place of knowledge is never missing, irrespective of what it helps you to do. Right. But again, like I said, you have to look at it in the field you're in. So for example, I'm a generalist. My first job was in a unionized environment. I would have got, like, it would have been hell for me if I did not get my certification, if I did not understand all the laws that apply. So I find that for a generalist, it's important that you get it. The knowledge is you can't do without that. But again, knowledge is important in any way. But one thing also, Bosso, I don't know if Imole has a different view. I find that the reason I think in Canada, I don't know if certification plays a huge role. I think it's super important to us coming in, trying to break into that, that space of it. But there's certification for everything you can do in Canada. If you are sweeping the floor, there's a certification. If you are cooking, there's a certification. Some are super inclined to it, some don't really mind. But let me just give a few of the ones that are prevalent. So in Ontario, where I'm in, is the CHRP, CHRL. That's the Canadian Human Resource Professional, and then the leader. And then you have the CPHR, which I think that exists for the rest of Canada, if I do remember. And then you have the RPR for recruiters. You have the CRSP for registered safety professional. I mean, I can go on and on. So here's my 2 takeaways. Get the knowledge. It's never lost. Get the knowledge. It doesn't matter what you're looking to do, get the knowledge, because it boosts your confidence. And if you're trying to specialize, go take some extra, take that extra step. Because we won't talk about it so much here, but that Canadian experience and the barriers there is still super real. And these are some of the things that help you with your confidence, with your able to go up and show up in your true and authentic self that you can do this job. So yeah, those are some of the few, but we have loads of it.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think that's so well-rounded as well in terms of, first, the knowledge is valid, and beyond the knowledge, like, you just need to be able to show up as somebody who can play in that space. And that's pretty important. And I know a lot of job boards would post positions in HR stating that that position requires the person to have a CHRP, a CHRL, CPHR, all of these things, so some are more prominent than the other, but the certifications does open doors for you as an international person practicing HR. Right.
Can I
Sure,
Can I chip
definitely.
in something? Because I'm totally in alignment with Kemi's response and yours. It does really open door. I think one of the things, like you, Bosun, I didn't get my certifications before I got to my first job. I mean, even my second job, where I was a generalist for a big airports, but I found out that the process of studying for that exams and understand the body of knowledge, right, really helped me in answering some of those questions and engaging at a very strategic, and tactical approach, right? So that's very important. But one of the things the certification does, really, apart from giving you the body of knowledge, it also increases your visibility. So think about it this way. A lot of people are, I mean, you say a lot of our folks have these certifications now. Yes, of course, for certain jobs, their ATS will not shortlist you if you don't have those certifications. One. But at the same time, it's also a differentiating factor in the field, right? So don't ever miss the place of the knowledge, the body of knowledge, but also understand that it's a I have GPHR now, and in recent times, I've been getting a lot of offers out of Canada and the US, and I can't associate it to any other thing apart from the fact that I have GPHR and I have SHR. So they feel that I really understand, if I can practice in Canada, I can also practice in the US because I understand the body of knowledge, the legislation and the system in the US, right? So you see how that also expands your opportunity. You understand? But the fundamental part is that knowledge, your ability to not just know it, but articulate it, contextualize it, and show the recruiter that, hey, if you bring me on, I ain't gonna mess your stuff up. I'm gonna add value at a significant level. So yeah, I think that's key.
Well, that's spot on. Thank you so much for chiming on that as well. One question that I have finally, this would be like two questions in one. And that question is, first, what skill do you think you apply the most daily as an HR professional in Canada? And that would help people also understand the kind of skills they bring on board if you're trying to get into an HR position. And then the other one would be, what are some tips that you can share around having a successful HR career in Canada? If you want me to start while you think about that for a second, I can.
Go for it.
No, please.
one of the skills that I think is very, very important working in the Canadian space is collaboration. I mean, we've all been in jobs where you're just expected to show up at work, have your head down, and get the job done. But I think the culture of the environment we're in right now, I mean, the Canadian work culture embraces collaboration. You need to be able to not just achieve results, but achieve results with people and in alignment with the values and, of course, the how do I say, just values, the values of that organization that you work in. Yeah, you guys are the experts. Tell us, what are some of the skills? Who wants to start?
Kemi, let me allow you to start. I'll follow behind you.
I'll make it very short. I think besides collaboration is key. I don't want to say that our culture back home did us a disservice in the way we come into Canada, because back home you're supposed to be that lone star, that shooting star, just you're just the superstar of everywhere. It doesn't work that way here. also collaboration. But what I'll add to it is consulting. I think that's a skill that I have to use a lot in terms of not just showing up as, oh, you didn't do it right. HRs, you should do it this way. Is okay. How can we do it together? And that consulting even goes to the way you type your emails, the way you send your Slack messages. You want to change your pronouns. They say, oh, you did not submit this document. Oh, can I know why we did not put this in at the right time? So that carries onto all your interactions with the people, with the systems, with the culture, because you're always trying to, there's something, one of the values that the CEO shares in our company is that the workplace is not a zero-sum game. It's an infinite game. So it's not a matter of, if you take one, then I won't have anything else. Like if you move up, then I don't have anything. No, it's an infinite game. Everybody can consult, collaborate, and still come out looking good. So yeah, that's consulting is a key one.
Wow. Beyond consulting, what I hear you say is also empathy. That's something I hear from what you said as well, that just being able to, put yourself into people's shoes and understand how this probably didn't get done, and then being able to communicate in that line rather than having a request put out, but showing understanding and working with people to achieve that. By the way, Bolaji is my friend. If you hear how smart she is, just think that maybe I am slightly like that. I like to tag along. I just follow right behind.
Since you go there, I'm going to go off topic a bit. I met Bosu. We met in 2016 as a lecturing class.
Wow.
While we were practicing, while we were training. And we just became friends. And I came into Canada, and then she came into Canada. And she always says, I'm at John the Baptist. So go and check the land. Come back and tell me. But I wanted to say something to what Bosun just said in terms of empathy.
Yeah.
These are skills you just have to develop. You just have to get them in you. And empathy is not just, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry. No, it's even in your minute interactions. Absolutely. Knowing that I'm not just looking for a win-win. We can do it together. Changing the way you approach. HR used to be the policy police. Oh, you didn't do it. This is wrong. No. HR has to move. It has moved, but it has to do more in terms of, don't produce your stuff and shove it down the business. Get the business involved as your user. What do you need? Get it on board, put your processes in, communicate it the same way.
Wow, I am sure Imole cannot wait to land this plane.
Yes.
No, the truth about it, I was just thinking, what else can I say? You guys have said everything else. I just guess what I want to just do is see how I can tie that in one skill that we really all need to imbibe or consciously, intentionally grow on, and is emotional intelligence, right? That consciousness, that awareness in understanding the best approach, and first understanding yourself, right? Understanding your own weaknesses and proclivities and nuances. In Nigeria, when somebody says biz, you say bars, right? So you want to hit them back. And like she said, we used to be policy police. Here you are a trusted partner and leader, right? So what you say weighs so heavily. Your approach, how you interpret, you really must come from an integrative approach. And that has helped me a lot, because in a unionized environment, you find that people there's a tendency to want to take part and act like a competitive game, but it's not a competition. And I like Bolaji's boss's philosophy. There's win-win is supposed to be a norm for you. I'm not going to take from your glory. You're not going to take from mine. We're both working in alignment towards a particular goal. So in our daily engagement, collaboration, like I've said, is important. Seeking to understand, curiosity, not jumping into assumption.
Yes. That is spot on.
That is so important. Right?
I cannot even agree more. Yeah, curiosity is major, definitely. Otherwise, it takes you out of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes you out of the game. So seeking to understand and knowing how to ask the right questions, and truly, if empathy is your hey game, is what's how you live your life. That's why I said emotional intelligence. I find that it to be hard for you to be somebody else out of the workplace and somebody else in the workplace. And that's why it has to be a design. It has to be a deliberate intervention to improve on how we engage, how we ask questions, how we view, even some problems, right? Because I've seen people evaluated not just on what they did, but how they did what they did. I mean, that's 30% in our own IPOs in my place of work.
Wow.
Right? So you can't afford to do the things you do the same way you used to do it back home and expect to be a high flyer. No matter how technical savvy you are, you must understand the people dynamics, the people nuances. You must understand how to say sorry and mean it genuinely because they can see it in your face. You can understand how to give a feedback, how beat a difficult conversation, but yeah, you're not talking the person down.
True.
Right?
True.
And you still feel empowered. I mean, these are things you really have to.
Wow. I think that is so brilliant, Imole. Thank you so much. And I really think it's a very important knowledge for us to pass on to international HR practitioners who move into Canada. Just being able to be aware of the culture. And of course, we can't downplay the fact that soft skill is a lot higher than hard skills in our environment. Like, it's one of the key things you must have if you want to practice in this place. But thank you both so much. Like, I pride myself over my social capital by the quality of people I know and I'm able to bring on this platform. So I am so thankful for you. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge and for sharing your wisdom as well. We cannot thank you enough.